You remember back a couple of weeks ago, I had that Digital 8 camera that the camera section itself was completely black, and we suspect it's probably the CCD that's bad. And then I got this high 8 camera that the transport's kind of screwed on, but the camera works. I got to thinking, are these the same cameras? I mean, they're the same generation, and Sony did like to standardize parts. Perhaps they used the same camera section between the Digital 8 and the analog version of the camera. Let's find out. We're going to try a little experiment today. I want to see whether this Digital 8 camera that had the bad camera block, I wonder if the camera block is the same as the camera block from this one here that has the bad ribbon cable on the chassis, the one that had the spring missing and the chassis support missing. And I was curious as to whether the camera section is the same between the two of them or not. So let's just try swapping the camera section from one to the other, namely just the CCD, right? That's the only thing I really care about is the CCD. See if it's the same. I don't know whether it is or not, but they are similar generation cameras, so there is a possibility that they may have a compatible sensor, even though one is a digital camera and the other is an analog. The sensors themselves typically output the same type of signal, whether you're dealing with a digital camera or an analog. It's a CCD. So I'll just pop this quickly apart, take the side cover off, and just try swapping over, or see if the sensor is the same, see if it can be swapped over. Looking at the two cameras, the actual sensor appears to be the same. So, I think they are the same. In fact, I think the camera block itself is the same too. Is the camera block, I think the whole entire camera block is the same, you know. They look to be the same. So, I may be just further ahead just to swap the whole lens assembly over rather than take the CCD off the block, because then I don't have to worry about the alignment of it or anything. There's just two plugs that hold it in. Let's just pop the CCD from one camera and put it on the other one and see whether I get a picture or whether it's still a black screen. Because on this digital camera I didn't know whether it was a sensor. I suspected it was the CCD sensor, but it still could have been something on the circuitry itself that was causing it. So this is the quickest way to just unplug the lens and just swap the lens over from one to the other, because it looks to be the same. So this is the bad one. I'll just put the one from the digital version of the camera over to the side, and we'll pull the one that I know works from the camera that's got the damaged transport. I will pull this one and plug it in and just see whether I get a picture. Just a little experiment to see whether it actually will work. If it's the same sensor, it should. And that will prove what I suspected, was that it was the sensor as opposed to circuitry on the board. It was bad. And if it doesn't work, then we know that the problem is the main board. So, on this other camera. Okay, so this is the block that came off of this camera. We'll pop it on this one and just power it up and see whether I get a picture. Well, it looks like I still have a blank screen. I still get the same interference. I would bring my hand anywhere near the CCD. I'm getting interference just like before. So I'll now try putting the suspected bad camera block on the analog camera to see if it will work on that one. My phone has been making unusual sounds today. Not a notification that I'm familiar with. Odd dinging sound that I've never heard. I don't know what it is. I'll have to check and see what the notification is. Oh, it was a security notification from American Express to my throwaway email account telling me my account had been compromised and I need to log in and to secure my account. That's really funny because I haven't had an American Express card in probably 40 years. And I've never carried that card. That's the last card I would ever carry is American Express. And yet I'm getting these fraud alerts. See whether scam on the screen. But I'm not getting a picture off this one either, so maybe it is a compatibility problem. Just put the original camera block from the high 8 camera back onto the high 8 board, and this block is working. If I show you the picture on the monitor, there's the picture off of, this is the one that's got the damaged the damaged chassis assembly, the ribbon cable, but the camera itself works. When I put the other camera from the other block from the other camera on here, I just had a black screen, and when I put this working block on the other camera, I had a black screen as well, which just kind of proves the fact that they're not compatible. Even though they look to be the same, obviously they're not compatible. Either that, or we've got both a bad camera block and a bad board if they are compatible. Because if the camera block was working when I plugged that camera block in onto this one, because it's pretty easy to do, right? Just undo 2 plugs and swap it. They look to be the same. I didn't pull the chip to see, but I mean they do look to be the same. So I'm assuming that they are the same. Either that or maybe the pinout is different, but I can't see Sony doing that because Sony standardized all their equipment so that they could. That was the whole point in standardizing, was so that they could do that. They could put one, make one block and have all the different models. But you see, this one here, blank screen, nothing. And yet we know that the camera board works, so that's proving that that block doesn't work properly. And by the same token, if I take the one that did work, just do this live into the camera that we suspected that that the pickup was bad on, the CCD. Well, this is the good camera block. When we plug this one in, I would expect to get a picture, but when I tried it a minute ago, unless there was something that wasn't seated properly, but when I tried it a few minutes ago, I got nothing. We'll just try it one more time. Make sure everything's seated down all the way, because we know that this camera section works. Plug it in, and so we'll just let this thing just hang here. It's not going to touch anything, and give it power. And I should have a picture, and I don't. I have a black screen. So, and I still get that noise if I bring my fingers anywhere near the CCD. So it's one of two things: either A, the camera blocks are indeed different, which is possible. They could be. When you look at them, though, they appear to be exactly the same. I'll just grab the other one here. So this is the one from the digital camera. This is the one from the analog camera, or did I get it wrong? No. We look at the two. I mean, they both look identical. Do we see any differences between the two of them? I'm just trying to determine whether there's any. I don't see any differences between them. They both look to be absolutely identical when you look at those two boards. Right, I don't see any differences. Oh, wait a minute, there are. Sorry, I wasn't looking close enough. There are a couple differences. Are they? Yeah, looks like there's a capacitor down here. Yeah, the boards are slightly different. Okay, well that would explain why they don't work. I just, at a quick glance, when they were in the camera, they look to be the same. One's a CD418 and the other's a CD409. So they are slightly different, and that would explain why one worked and the other didn't. Oh well, it was worth a try, because I had two scrap cameras, and if I could have made one work out of two, then we're ahead of the game. But unfortunately, it didn't work. And it just so happens that it was the same guy that sent me both cameras. So had it worked, he could have got back a working camera. But unfortunately, that's just not the way the cards fall today. Oh well, it was worth a try. Thanks for watching.